BBC News at midday. The International Atomic Energy Agency has warned the situation at Europe's biggest nuclear power station, which was struck during heavy Russian shelling in Ukraine yesterday, remains extremely tense and challenging. Russian forces have captured the Zaporizhzhia plant after a huge blaze was extinguished in one of the buildings in the compound. The IAEA said the fire didn't affect the reactors and there wasn't any immediate risk from radiation. Moscow claims the damage was the result of Ukrainian saboteurs. Foreign ministers are gathering in Brussels for a meeting of NATO, the EU and the G7. The NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg expressed his concern about the Russian assault.
We condemn the attacks on civilians and over the night we have also seen reports about the attack against the nuclear power plant. This just demonstrates the recklessness of this war and the importance of ending it and the importance of Russia withdrawing all its troops.
The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says the UK has called for an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss the attack on the plant. She rejected suggestions the UK was acting too slowly to sanction wealthy Russians compared with the EU and the US.
We've sanctioned more companies than our counterparts across the world. We've just sanctioned 2 more major oligarchs last night. But what I'm doing is looking at how we can speed up that process to make even more progress on that front. The number one thing that's important, though, is that we are unified with our partners across the world in putting the toughest ever sanctions we've had on Russia.
The deputy mayor of the besieged Ukrainian port of Mariupol has accused Russian forces of using tactics seen in the Syrian city of Aleppo. He said this involved continuous shelling, damaging buildings, including schools and hospitals. Russian parliamentarians have passed new legislation banning the dissemination of what they describe as fake information about the armed forces. Those who break the law face jail terms of up to 15 years. The authorities in Russia have also blocked a number of news websites and international broadcasters in the country, a move affecting the BBC. A BBC spokesperson said access to accurate, independent information was a fundamental human right. The Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has called for the Conservative Party to sack its co-chairman Ben Elliott, accusing him of having links with wealthy Russian donors. Sir Keir said there was growing concern about the links between the Conservative Party and Russian money.
Ben Elliott is at the heart of that, and we need to strip Russian money away from our politics, not to allow it to influence our politics, and there will always be this danger if the Conservative government doesn't go really hard on this, that people will say, well, it must be because you're reliant on Russian money that you're not going more quickly. So it's in everybody's best interest if Ben Elliott steps back from his role, and I think he should actually be sacked from it.
The Conservative Party have been approached for comments. Trade unions say that dockers in Kent have refused to unload 2 tankers carrying liquefied Russian gas, forcing them to turn away. The dock workers say they acted in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and because sanctions don't cover cargo from Russia. Matt Lay, the National Energy Officer at the union Unison, says the rules need strengthening.
I think it just demonstrates the weakness, of those sanctions, really, because we're continually being told that the sanctions didn't apply to these 2 ships, and it's just not really good enough. The government needs to be clear what it actually is saying and what the consequence of that is, because it looks very much like if you're involved in the gas industry, the restrictions are very minimal.
Finally, the opening ceremony of the Winter Paralympics is due to begin in Beijing. Russian and Belarusian athletes have been barred because of the invasion of Ukraine. BBC News.
Time now for A Bookshop in Algiers by Kayouta Ademi. Riyadh is close to finishing his task, but first Abdallah takes him for a walk in the neighbourhood. Episode 5 is read by Ferdinand Kingsley, and first, Raad Rawi.
Episode 5. Riyadh follows the old bookseller into an immense cellar. It's hard to guess how many people there are. The smoke is so thick and the lighting so subdued. Riyadh leans over to Abdullah and asks, "Where are we?" "At Saeed's place." "But what is it? A gambling den? A bar?" No, just a place where people can smoke and talk. Said can't keep the cafe open all night. He doesn't have the license, so he runs it in secret, for regulars only. Have a look around. Talk to some people your age. I'm going to bother those lawyers over there. Riyad ends up sitting on his own, near a group of women who must be around 30. They are accompanied by a much older man with blonde hair, wearing small dark glasses. 20 books or so are piled on the table in front of the women. One after the other, they give the man a book, and he says something that makes them laugh and clap. Noticing Riyad's curious gaze, one of them turns and speaks to him. I bet you're wondering what Yusuf is doing to get us so excited. Well, yes, Yusuf is blind, but he can recognize any of these books by the feel of the cover and recite a passage from memory. You want to try and stump him? Riyad slips one of the books into Yusuf's hands. The Femme Théotime by Henri Bosco. Yusuf caresses the book, turns it over and around, smells it, and murmurs, In August, in our country, a little before evening, the fields glow with a powerful heat. The best thing to do is to stay at home, deep in the shade, waiting for dinner time. The women clap again. Riyad concedes defeat. He looks for Abdullah but can't find him, and ends up going home alone.
Algiers, October 8th, 1959. Tense atmosphere in Algiers.